The pitcher?
The pitcher.
That's wild. That a boy?
All right, here's the pause.
He's staying fantasy focused.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 206 of the Fantasy Focused podcast, brought to you by the original Hooters. Ryan Levy here with my boys, Derek Tate and Matt Bucks. Special episode for 206, gents. We are pre-Thanksgiving, so we're going to dive into some Turkey Day football games for DFS purposes. How you doing, Tater?
Oh, I'm fantastic. It's just our normal annual DFS episode here on Fantasy Focused. Unfortunately, I will not be eating turkey with you guys in person, but always there in spirit, and I can't wait to go ahead and help everybody win a little bit of money on this Thanksgiving. We got 3 games to discuss, 2 of them rematches from Week 10.
We can't really just gloss over the fact that Thanksgiving is the best holiday there is.
It really is.
You get 2 built-in days off work leading into a weekend. There's no variation on it. It's always on Thursday. There are always 3 NFL games. You also you get to see family, friends, have a couple of cocktails, business as usual. But Tate, you said we don't get to eat turkey together. Let's not be real. You know, we're all going to be eating the same turkey sandwiches around 11:30 p.m. after we sled back in an Uber from the bars, and it's just a bloodbath in the kitchen. You got King's Hawaiians all over the place, tons of mayonnaise, salt, pepper, a little bit of turkey, dip it into a nice little gravy slushy that I made. I mean, there's no better holiday. It doesn't get any better, Tater.
Ubers don't exist here in Cadillac, Michigan, unfortunately. So
you know what you need?
A foreign concept here in northern Michigan.
You need an Iditarod.
What is that?
The Iditarod is the famous trail of dog sledding across northwestern Canada into Alaska. It's the ancient Iditarod, and it's been passed on from generation to generation. It's one of the toughest races in the world. Some would compare it with the World Cup of sailing.
Wow. Tate, I had no idea you had no access to Uber.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough sledding up here, boys. No pun intended.
You should get a dog sled. You should look at it.
We'll be reunited, all 3 of us, soon. It's almost Chipsmas, boys.
And almost the Fantasy Focus live show on, what is it, Sunday, December 22nd, boys? Live from the St. Pete Hooters on 4th Street.
Do you know what a crazy weekend that's going to be? We go from Chipsmas on the 19th to Ray J on the 21st to Chipsmas on the 22nd. To the live show on the 22nd. My bad. It's going to be great.
Wait, the 21st is Saturday game for the Bucks?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, my goodness, sir. My goodness. We got to keep our cool, boys.
It's going to be a marathon. We're getting too old for events like that.
I think I'm sitting that one out. I'm sitting that Saturday out. I'll participate in Chipsmas, but I need a full day of recovery to get my mind right heading into the live show.
For those that don't know, Chipsmas is a holiday that we'd just like to pass on to the greater public. Chipsmas is a celebration of friendship around the holiday time. It's usually the Thursday or Friday prior to the upcoming Christmas holiday. And it's just a festival where you basically gather at the shittiest possible bar that's in your vicinity. And the lights in front that spell out the name of the bar, you need to have at least 5 letters that are out, meaning it's just the sign is an absolute train wreck. You go in there and everybody has to bring their contribution of 1 bag of assorted chips. And then you have a master of the chips who basically has a large jar of cheese balls that they then, as the night goes on, there's more room because the cheese balls, they're being eaten. And you do a mixture of the entire contributions of the community as a whole. And you go ahead and you shake that thing up. That's the master of ceremonies job. Shout out to Garth, who won't be with us this year. He has been our 4 or 5 time running master of ceremonies. So we're going to shake that thing for you, pal. We're going to shake that thing for you.
We got a new addition, though. We're getting a party bus this year.
Yeah, it's to a destination unknown. Well, it's known. It is known. It is known. And Bucky, I 100% agree. You have to go to an establishment in which the visible sign of the letters from the street view, they are missing at least a minimum. I say a minimum has to be 2, just depending on how large the name is. Now, granted, we go to a place that's actually named Pinehurst Pub, but it reads from the street view, Pinhust Poo. It's missing the ending B and then the R and the E. So You find a place like that, make sure that they can handle somewhere the bandwidth of 10 to 25 folk. You just come in there and get rowdy.
It's a fun time. Can't wait. But I think we got to talk about this exciting slate of Thursday football on the day of thanks.
Starting with the classic Bears at Lions. Bears are actually favorites on the road here, -3 for the early kickoff, 12:30 Eastern game. Tater, initial thoughts on this game and spread?
We may see the very first NFL start of David Blau or Blah, depending on how you feel that day. Because David Blau, we're dealing with Jeff Driscoll, who's dealing with a hamstring injury. He is basically 50-50, probably game time decision for this upcoming game. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think the Chicago Bears are going to put it on the Detroit Lions defensively. I don't think the Lions are going to be able to do much, especially if you have to roll out David Blau against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So without a shadow of a doubt, I think it's going to be the Bears, but it's going to be a very low-scoring, ugly game. I think it's going to be something like, 13-6 or something like that.
Take the under.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if David Blau starts, it's going to be a barn burner, like 30-27, something crazy like that with Blau coming out. How's Driscoll trending right now, Tate?
He was, I think, a limited participant today.
We're going to see some Blau.
I have a feeling they're going to sit Driscoll and they're going to get a look at David Blau. Holy hell.
I mean, you want to talk about the stars aligning. David Blau creates a cameo video for one of our friends, Brad, that just brought a tear to my eye. I mean, the guy's just a natural on the microphone. I'd love to have David Blau on this podcast. Like,
that would be unbelievable.
Can we just actually order a David Blau cameo right now and see if we can live stream it across the interwebs?
Insta cameo.
Insta cameo.
Is this going to be the worst Thanksgiving Day game ever?
No, not ever.
No.
But, I mean, that's pretty harsh, but
there's still plenty of fantasy players in here though that we can pick apart here. I mean, I love Allen Robinson in this match.
I mean, A-Rob been good. He had a pretty good game in week 10 when the Lions faced off against the Bears at Chicago. 6 catches, 86 yards, and Darius Slay was active for that game. I just don't trust Mitchell Trubisky. Even when Trubisky has a good game, now granted, one of his best games of the season was against the aforementioned Detroit Lions. 173 through the air and 3 touchdowns, and it went 16-23. But, man, there's just an unwillingness to really push the ball down the field with any sort of consistency. That's why I'm saying I think it's going to be like a 13-6 shit fest. I don't have any – I mean, even last week, this was one of Trubisky's better games, and even still, he missed throws. He was off time, held the ball too long. It's just been ugly the entire season. And against a Lions offense that I don't think is going to be able to generate very much yardage, much less points, I could just see a big day from David Montgomery.
I could see a massive day from David Blau.
So are you guys not going to play any of these guys? And so we created a $20 contest. Bulky, I saw you jump in there. We got still
I'm back
left or so. I sucked you back in. So we're doing a 20-man $20 contest. So of course DraftKings takes $40 in a rake off the top of that. Unfortunately, but Tater, hopefully you're getting in there. But are you guys telling me you're not playing any Bears or any Lions if you're playing the triple slate on Thursday for DraftKings or FanDuel?
I want to play David Montgomery. I do like his price the most of all of these running backs. Now, granted, you have some pretty marquee top name running backs, top tier guys, but Montgomery at 5,400 against the Detroit Lions, who have allowed the second most points to opposing fantasy backs. I don't see what's not to like for David Montgomery.
Agreed. I'm high on Montgomery this match.
Yeah, I mean, 13 carries in 5 straight games, so you know the requisite touches will be there, Bucky.
I love the requisites. Every day I like to eat a requisite amount of bananas. I like to have a requisite amount of fiber. That's what I like about my running backs. Tons of fiber. Fiber high.
All right, I'm with you. But so I'm staying away from Galladay. I'm staying away from Jones Jr. What about Bo Scarborough?
I thought you were going to say David Blau at 4,200.
No, I'm out on that. I'm probably going to go Drew Brees.
I mean, I think you have to go Drew Brees this week, right?
It's the best matchup. I mean, Matty Ice gets shut down by the Bucks last week. You don't think he's going to get shut down by the Saints? Maybe not.
I could care less. So what? If Matty Ice gets shut down by the Saints, I'm not sure that's a bad thing, right? I like Drew Brees to ride dirty in this, man.
I hear you, but
I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with Matt Ryan or Drew Brees in this. This is the matchup where I want to be stacking players. For me, Devin Singletary is another guy that I like. I actually want to get him in the flex.
We'll get to that game. We'll get to
that game. But I want to completely exhaust all our options for Chicago and Detroit. I mean, what about Anthony Miller? He's been playing good football lately. He's only 3,900.
He's been much more involved. And if there's a wide receiver that I want to take a chance on in this matchup, it would be him, even though Robinson had a pretty good game in week 10 against Darius Slay. Similar to how I felt about the Detroit Lions over the last couple of weeks with Jeff Driscoll under center. If Driscoll's not 100% or David Blau's getting his first start, I just don't want to. I mean, granted, they won't be a chalk play. I just don't want to invest my lineup in pretty much where you have to be perfect. And there's only 6 games or 6 teams to choose from, 3 games. I just don't see one of the Detroit Lions wide receivers being, a top play this week. So
right.
I mean, if you want to exhaust all your options, that's fine. But that's why I said David Montgomery is the only guy I really have confidence in putting in my lineup.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you're going to pair David Montgomery or, let's say you want Zeke or Kamara in your lineup, right? So you need a cheaper running back like a David Montgomery. Are you more comfortable with Montgomery or Mr. Scarborough? 4,700.
Probably Montgomery at just a bit higher at 54.
100%. Yeah,
that's only a 7.
I mean, we talked trash about him last week, or not really talked trash. We just weren't high on him, Bucky. You and I.
You got to think about it like this, right? We had a legitimate conversation, like a purely legitimate conversation regarding David Blau starting for Detroit.
Yep.
Okay. If that's the case, sure. Bo Scarborough is going to have a pretty heavy workload there for the evening. Should I say mid-afternoon? Are you guys question before I jump back into that? This is an aside. Are you guys early afternoon dinner folks for Thanksgiving, or are you late afternoon folks?
Ooh, I'm like a late afternoon, like 4:00 guy usually.
I think that's pretty standard, Tate.
I mean, the Tate household. I mean, once upon a time, we used to throw pretty sizable ragers for Thanksgiving get-togethers.
The drinking starts at 11 a.m. in the Tate household.
Yeah, that and, by 5 o'clock, there's a Braveheart imitation pre-Battle of Sterling speech. And somehow actually at the aforementioned Pinehurst pub, that music video that I did once upon a time, that always seems to come up during Thanksgiving. So, I mean, you need to be liquored up to watch that and enjoy it.
So what time do you eat?
Probably, I'd say around 3:30.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I think you're both dead wrong. You're doing it poorly.
You're an early eater, Buck, aren't you?
I'm an early eater. 12:30 or 1 o'clock. 12:30 or 1 for me. And the reason being is this. You guys are going to sit there all day filling up on your beers and your pumpkin-based bread products. You're also going to have a bunch of cheese, a nice charcuterie board, and it's going to be an uphill battle for you for the rest of the day because you're not going to get the most out of that. I like to squeeze the orange, that orange being a delicious turkey dinner along with all the sides, the accoutrement, and then all you do is you drink leading up to that meal at 12:30. You only do it for an hour, and then you've set such a base coat at that point. You are cruising on the couch. You got your fly unbuttoned, and you are chilling like crazy, kick back watching football tape. And see, there's commotion when you do the 4 o'clock. You're right in the middle of 2 football games. You miss the end of one. You miss the beginning of another. It's all sorts of confusion, but you hit it early. You get the full second half and 2 more games after that. Nice little nap in between the second and the third game. That's the best way. Back to Bo Scarborough. Bo Scarborough is going to get his due. So Bo Scarborough is going to go in. I would say Bo will have 15 carries in this game.
Yep.
I just think they're going to struggle to produce whatsoever.
All right, fair enough.
I'm out. I'd rather go for the $700 extra with Devin, or excuse me, with Davey Monty.
Should we move on to the game of the day though? Bills Cowboys.
I believe so. I mean, we have to talk about Devin Singletary eventually.
Game of the century. Are you kidding me?
Cowboys
Game of the day.
7-point favorites though.
I'm hammering the Bills.
As you should. Should the Cowboys be 7-point favorites against anyone?
Not at this point.
Like the Dolphins.
I think it's
been a winning team all year.
It's an intriguing matchup considering you have the number 1 overall yardage offense in Dallas heading up against the number 3 overall yardage defense. And at the end of the day, I think defense travels. Buffalo is going to do their job. It's going to be a close, scrappy game. And depending on Josh Allen being able to keep it all together, we'll see. We'll see.
Bucky, we got a question. I just got to throw this out there. I know we're not really going into questions, but there was a listener's question tuning in live to the pod this week. How many Busch Lights do you plan on crushing on Thanksgiving Day? Probably Miller Lights. You've grown up a little bit in 2019 in front of the people, Buck.
Yeah, I've adopted a Miller Lite lifestyle. I call it a Miller lifestyle. But there will be tons of Busch Light in my house. You have not only my father, but my brother-in-law who are adamant Busch Light men. So we'll all arrive with our beers. Clearly 2 outweighs 3, and I outweigh all of them on the scale. So push comes to shove. Yeah, there will be Busch Lights consumed. I would put the over-under at 4. And I won't disclose the amount of Miller Lights involved in this transaction.
I don't know. Your brother-in-law Mark can put back some food, and if he can drink like he can eat, whoo!
He can.
You're trying to go beer for beer with that guy. Whoo.
Well, the best part is he goes and he's hanging with my dad and I, and he's not in his comfort zone hanging with us because, I mean, my dad puts up numbers. You want to talk about like chasing a legend's footsteps? It's chasing Jan, man. It's an uphill battle for me. So I know what he's going through because he can't get shown up, especially not at the Thanksgiving Day table during that card game that goes on after the Bills game around 7:30. I mean, the card game is going to be legendary because either the Bills are going to lose, I'm going to be an absolute prick the entire time, or the Bills win and I'm just going to be the happiest guy in the world.
I love it, man.
So that's fantastic. But I do want to as much as I want to talk about Thanksgiving's fantastic. Have we decided on a quarterback, and where are we with our lineup to give a little bit?
No. Let's talk more about this Dallas game. Like certain price points you like. You mentioned Singletary. I love Singletary's price point here. What is he at? 56?
58.
58. I think 58's good. This is a kid who's coming into his own. He's chipping away at Frank Gore's workload. Frank scores. Wait, Frank scores.
I'm just saying. I mean, hey, by the way, respect to the cyborg. Just went to number 3 all the time on the rushing list.
Crazy to pass Barry.
Unbelievable.
Passing Barry Sanders is not an easy feat.
No.
Now, mind you, Barry only played how many years in the league? 8?
I thought it was 10. Jim Brown played 9.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. It was a short-lived little surge there from my man Barry. I was so sad when he left, Tate. I know you were too.
Oh yeah. No offense to anybody else. I think he's the greatest running back I've ever seen. I thought he was the reason why the Lions were relevant. But anyway, let's not.
And then Frank Gore started to play NFL football, and you said, "My God, this guy is way better than Barry."
Okay, here's my strategy, man. With this game alone, Bills Cowboys, I am building the core of all of my lineups with the running backs in this game, and I am going to pick my quarterback from the night game. So I'm going to play Zeke for 7,400 in my lineup, and I'm going to pair him with Singletary at 5,800. I think that's the right combo, and you can go and get whichever quarterback you want, and then pair the quarterback with the receivers. That's just the strategy I'm leaning towards.
I have a good feeling about some of the wide receivers these slated games. In particular, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is just setting the league on fire, and if we're going to do that stack, I want that stack with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas.
Yes,
that's the stack that I want. You can definitely make a case for the Matt Ryan and Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley stack as well, especially if Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play, which seems to be something that if Lattimore doesn't play, an opposing team's number 1 or number 2 puts up very big numbers against the Saints secondary. But I do somewhere along those group of wide receivers. By the way, Bucky, I'm going to ask you because we're talking about the Bills and the Cowboys. Does Tre'Davious White just put it on Amari Cooper similar to how Stephon Gilmore did this past week?
Yeah.
You got to be nervous about Cooper this week.
Trey White's played really, really well in recent weeks. That includes the Browns game that we dropped too. I mean, he's a shutdown corner.
I call him whiteout. Just wiped out the opposing team's best wide receiver.
He's good.
So
man.
You saw what he did against Cortland Sutton. I mean, I think he had one catch for 27 yards, and that was in the first quarter, and then they disappeared.
Is whiteout a thing anymore? Because I feel like, do kids even have to write on pen and paper these days?
They write on their iPads.
That's a serious question. I don't know the answer to that.
It's a good question.
That's what's bothering me.
They may not even know what that reference is, and that's really sad because I thought that was a clever play on words given his last name.
Yeah, a pen is a lot more dangerous than a pencil. There's not real lead in a pencil anymore.
This is true.
But, yeah, I want nothing to do with Amari Cooper. And one guy we got to keep bringing up, though, if we're talking about wide receivers, I'm okay with going with Ezekiel Elliott, Devin Singletary, and David Montgomery as our 3 running backs. It just makes me wonder what we're going to be able to do as far as at the wide receiver spot, as far as salary goes. So if we add those 3 in right now, and we add in, say, do you want to go Drew Brees or Matt Ryan?
Well, after just seeing what Jameis Winston was able to do to Atlanta's secondary, I'm going to lean Drew Brees.
I like Drew Brees here with the Michael Thomas stack. If I'm going to be spending big money this week, it's going to be on that matchup.
Well, yeah, because then you can get another cheap receiver. Like I kind of like Cole Beasley, and if you want to call it a revenge game.
I prefer John Brown because to me, you can really capitalize on the wide receiver position this week. I think, Tate, you alluded to that earlier. I feel great about certain sets of wide receivers. The guys that I do like, especially if you're going that Thomas Breeze stack, or Calvin Ridley at 66 and John Brown at 63.
Problem is we're going Zeke, Singletary, and Montgomery. We're running out of money.
See, I'm not that high on the Zeke thing, but I get it because the Bills are kind of like a paper tiger against the run. They really are. We have been gashed. So I wouldn't be surprised for him to have a good day. But overall, I don't see a scenario where Dallas is scoring 30 points. I think that game is a 18-14 knockdown slug. I don't know how I arrived at 18, by the way. I would take
rough day.
It's like 6 field goals. Yeah, Cowboys score 6 field goals, beat the Bills 18-16. Bills get 2 or a safety and 2 tutties.
To me, I think you're picking the wrong top-priced running back, Levy.
I was just going to say, what do you want, Kamara?
Bill's defense is a rough. It's like you said, Bucks. They can do some damage on the ground.
Yeah.
One thing I know about Alvin Kamara, and ever since he's come back from injury, he's had at least 8 receptions in every single game since he's been back. So, right there, that's 80 yards worth of rushing. 8 points. That's money, and it just feels as if Alvin Kamara is due. We saw him get a touchdown called back against Tampa Bay. He's still very efficient. Ever since he's come back from the injury, he's averaging 4.9 yards per clip on the ground or more. One of those games he had 5.8 and the other 6.0 yards per carry. He just hasn't found the end zone. Other than that, he's still scoring 15 plus fantasy points in a PPR every single week. And that's production I can take to the bank, especially against the Falcons. So I know the Falcons had a couple good weeks and they put it on the Saints, but I expect the Saints to be able to figure it out and bounce back and put up some good numbers. I'm fine with the triple stack with Breeze, Kamara, and Michael Thomas, or we can switch it up and go Kamara and switch it over to a Falcon stack on the other end.
No, I would prefer a Kamara, Thomas, Breeze. I think this is the best matchup on the board, and we get all the hard work done. You know, we do this thing, we stack those three. They get a nice little like 25-point victory over the Falcons because they should just crush them with no regard for safety.
I'm okay with this triple stack. I mean, I was going to say, if we're not going Zeke, we got to go Kamara. I mean, that's obviously, those are the top two choices in my opinion. I guess you could make an argument for Singletary if you wanted to, but I mean, we can still have him as our RB2, you know, even if we're going with the expensive stack.
Singletary just looks fantastic.
He does.
Gosh, it's been very encouraging that 3 of the last 4 weeks he has seen 15 or more touches. It seems like this, and Bucky, maybe you can hopefully shed a little bit more light on this, but from when I'm watching the Buffalo Bills games, I'm seeing a lot more snaps, seeing a lot more commitment to getting him the ball early and often. He seems to be the feature back now. No disrespect to Frank Gore, but it seems like that finally that change has been made.
I'll say this. He has been nothing short of aggressive as all hell, while also partnering that with being completely patient with his blockers. And when he hits the hole, he hits it with reckless abandon. He's always fighting for yards. I would love to see a statistic on yards after not just contact, but when you're wrapped up, because he seems to drag the pile forward for a yard every single time that it seems like he should be down. He's just steady, pushing forward. He's really bringing the entire package too, because this is a kid who they're working through the outside. They're working him on swing routes. They're also trying to get him. I would love to see him more involved in a screen game, to be honest with you, like a middle screen. I'm just not so Josh Allen has that in his bag of tricks right now. I feel like there's too much going on, and he has just this tendency to just go in a little bit too hard. Those are those touch throws. Those are the hardest throws off your back foot.
Allen's never seen a check down that he liked.
No. So like the swing route he likes because his eyes light up when he sees, you know, the nickel man having to plug way over there to the boundary. But in reality, like that's a throw that every quarterback can make in the NFL. The throws that they can't make are those that they need a lot of touch on, timing. Josh Allen's got a lot to learn there. But everything I've seen out of Singletary's, he's got top marks. He looks great. And they're going to continue to build him into this offense. We have 4 straight very, very tough games for Buffalo. They're going to have to lean on the rookie, and I have no doubt they will. Brian Dable, he's built his trust week after week with Devin Singletary. I feel great about him being our second running back.
This is like going to be the coming out party on a national stage for Devin Singletary, right? It's like, I feel like there hasn't been any monster games televised on a national scale for the Bills yet. This is the game where everyone knows who Singletary is now. Yeah,
well, let's...
I hope so.
We've played 4 consecutive highly televised national games once. Happened to lose all those. Thanks for jinxing it, pal.
This is the year that Singletary jumps into the Salvation Army, you know, Christmas donation bowl like Zeke did several years back, and everyone's like, yep. This is the year.
He's too humble. He's too humble.
Thank the Lord they're not calling Devin Singletary Devin Singlecarry anymore. At least they've just began to give him the rock. And honestly, the one thing that scared me about, he had 2 fumbles a couple of weeks ago. That luckily they did not lose either of those fumbles, and seems like they were able to continue to. I mean, Frank Gore talking to him on the sideline. I think that veteran presence has really helped this young rookie ever since he's come back. The game seems to have slowed down quite a bit.
The cyborg, the mentor. Who would have thought that machines can teach humans?
Right. We have to, if we're going with Kamara, Thomas, Breeze, and Singletary, we're going to have to get one of these cheaper options in here.
Right.
Beasley or Knox.
I prefer Beasley.
2,900 and Beasley's 47.
Still prefer Beasley over Dawson. I've been swinging and missing on my boy.
4,700 is a nice price for Beasley, in my opinion. Tater?
You had a good week?
I'm okay with Beasley. I'm not wild about it, but I do think he's the play, given the price tag. And the aforementioned Anthony Miller. Miller has began over the last couple of weeks. He's seen at least 9+ targets. And I know it's not pretty, but he's had 6 receptions in each of the last 2 games. I mean, he's just got to find the end zone. I mean, if he does against the Detroit Lions defense where he won't be seeing Darius Slay, Miller at $3,900 is very intriguing because of his volume over the last couple weeks.
If we slide in Miller over Beasley, what are we working with in budget, Tate?
All right. If we go with Miller over Beasley, give me just a sec.
Bucky, you rocking a Hooters cup over there?
We got 1,600 left. 4,000 per player is the average remaining, but we can go ahead and flex over to defense/special teams, and hopefully that'll bump that up a little bit.
I like the Bears for 2,500 this week.
I like the Hooters calendar for $14.99. Not only do you receive this complimentary pint glass full of the beautiful Hooters ladies, you also get a calendar and some good old coupons in there. I believe it's over $100 in savings. Might even be more. Could be like $150.
I agree.
Boom.
Go ahead and get yourself a Hooters calendar.
Shameless plug.
The original Hooters.
Shameless plug to our wonderful
No, absolutely,
sponsors.
absolutely. I have no idea how the hell the Chicago Bears defense going against the Detroit Lions without Matthew Stafford is $2,500. I think that's
no brainer.
It's a chalk play, but it's the play easily.
All right. So where does that leave us, Tate? We got what about
4,600 per player, 1,300. 13,800 remaining for 3 players, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, and a flex spot.
Can we go to tight end?
Let's go to tight end. You beat me to it, Bucky.
Jaden Graham, 3,100 for Austin Hooper.
Interesting. I get that Austin Hooper hasn't played, but we've only seen 2 targets each of the last 2 games with no Austin Hooper. I'm a little.
I'd rather go Knox, man. Knox at 2,900.
But then we have 2. Actually, we don't have Beasley. So
we might have to end up going Beasley though with the amount of money we got left. We're balling on a budget now, boys.
I mean, we could afford Cook. That's a quad stack.
I don't know about the quad stack, man.
You don't like it. I can tell. You're not about that quad.
I mean, I like Cook though. Cook's been scoring.
I don't want a quad stack.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
To be fair, I don't even like a double stacked burger. I just want the single stack. But quad stack, dude, it's way too rich for my blood and my blood pressure and my cholesterol and my LDLs.
I mean, I think Knox would. I mean, we could go against the grain though. I mean, now that Bucky, I don't know, Bucky's selling me a little bit. Bucky's selling me actually, and maybe Jaden Graham is the way to go.
We can go with Jaden Graham with the backup plan of Knox if for some reason Hooper goes this week.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So we're firing in Jaden Graham.
I won one?
That definitely helps our cause though. Now we've got an average of 5,300 per player remaining. One wide receiver, so let's knock that out, and then we got a flex.
Yeah, so do we want to go with someone like John Brown? What are you guys thinking here? We could still get Cook in there if we want to play 2 tight ends.
Here's the thing. He's going to draw number 1 corner. It's a road game. I don't love it. I'd prefer Calvin Ridley. Can we afford Calvin Ridley for 66? We're talking John Brown for 63.
We could definitely afford Calvin Ridley, yeah.
I would much prefer that to John Brown. I just have my concerns, John Brown, week to week. I don't know. I need both of you to kind of help me here.
What about Randall Cobb?
Oh,
nah.
Don't love it.
He's had 86 or more yards each of the last 3 weeks, 100 yards or more 2 of the last 3 weeks. I get it. And he scored 2 touchdowns, or he scored a touchdown in 2 of the last 3 weeks. So, I mean, he put up 4 for 86. He was the only player other than Zeke that really showed up against the New England Patriots. And I don't know what the hell is going on with Amari Cooper, but I know that Cobb isn't likely to see Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, but he's got to deal with big bad Levi Wallace.
It's true.
Levi Wallace has had a good season.
I do like Ridley. I do like Ridley. I mean, he did just if I remember correctly, he did do some damage against the.
He had a good week last week.
Oh yeah, he did.
Last week, yeah, he didn't have a great week against the Saints when they played in Week 10, but he had a good week last week.
It's a week-to-week game.
This is true.
It is.
I'm just scoring for Ridley. Let's get Ridley in there. But then what does that leave us with?
We go with Ridley. That leaves us with 4,100 for the flex spot.
4,100. You're looking at Amendola, Quadre Wilson, Frank Gore,
Allison.
Sorry.
Allison.
My bad.
It's okay. Love you.
What about Ted Ginn if we want to quad stack this burger?
I thought we're just talking anti-quad stack. This is
a cheaper quad stack. If you want to shove a cheap quad stack down my throat, I'll take it.
Tater,
I can't handle it, but I'll take it.
I want to try to be the voice of reason here.
But Ted Ginn kind of makes sense.
Ted Ginn does make a little bit of sense. Does make a little bit of sense. I don't like it though. Ugh.
What's Frankie Gore at?
Frankie Gore is available at that price.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't love we can't play 2 running backs for the Bills.
Bills aren't going to score 2 rushing touchdowns.
Josh Allen
they will. Josh Allen will have one of them. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't like. I honestly I feel as if how our roster's constructed, Calvin Ridley is a little too pricey, and really, I don't like any of those other options that we just mentioned.
So what does that leave us with, Tate?
I mean, at $4,100, I mean, I don't like anybody that's.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not going to go with Calvin Ridley, we're going to have to go with a guy like.
Can we get David Blow in there?
David Blau in the flex.
Yeah.
I would love to go David Blau. They should allow a super flex here.
He's at 4,200, way too rich for our blood. By $100.
Yeah.
Quadre Allison has scored touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks, but I mean, he went 8 carries for 20 yards. So
yeah, I'm out on him, man. How about
Amendola? Amendola actually is kind of interesting for a slot wide receiver.
Not bad.
That maxes us out. If we want to play Ridley, we got to go Amendola.
I just feel like, what are the other options there that are like John Brown? You want to save $300 to put an extra $300 on the flex? I mean, I'm open to conversation and hearing it out. My concern, let's head back to this. I'm a Bills fan, like diehard, love the Bills, watch every single game, live and die by this team. I'm not used to being 8-3, but I'm also concerned at the fact that we just play up and down with our opponents quite a bit. Is it time, though, to start feeling a little bit of solidarity and a little bit good about the fact that Josh Allen seems to be connecting with John Brown? Like, should we trust that combination, Tate, or are you still on the fence just like I am?
I don't know what else you need.
Because I'm closer. I'm closer to him. You know, I'm close, Tate. I'm too close. I'm burning my hand on the stove.
I think it's time to trust it. It's just like it's time to trust Devontae Parker in Miami. It's a similar scenario. It's like, how much of it do we need to see until we trust it?
I mean, but John Brown's been doing it all season. Devontae Parker hasn't.
Devontae Parker's been doing it since
he was born. Since he was born.
Brown has at least 50 or more receiving yards or a touchdown in every single week of this season. And the only other person to do that is Michael frickin' Thomas.
Throw John Brown in right now. Calvin Ridley, you're out. Hit the bench there, old timer.
All right, so now what do we got left? 4,400?
44. And you know what that did? It opened us up to either getting Brian Hill or Taylor Gabriel.
Oh, no. You like what? What do you like about
I like
that?
Brian Hill.
You disgust me. How can you like him?
I discuss everyone that I meet or speak to on a daily basis. This does not insult me.
He's a bum.
I'm a bum.
Yeah, Brian Hill is. Yeah. Oh.
Hey, just put Danny Amendola in there.
Get Ridley and Amendola. We're off the jump.
All right, now we're going back to Calvin Ridley. Okay.
Or John Brown and
Amendola, and we come up $300 short of the goal line.
We don't
I'm
have
fine
to
with
spend
that.
every last dollar.
You want John Brown or Calvin Ridley?
I want John Brown.
Okay, give me JB. I'm fully on board. Bills fan.
All right, there we go.
Let's go.
Everybody that's listening right now, final lineup. If you want to go ahead and play along here on the Turkey or the Thanksgiving Day DFS special episode, if you want to roll with us, we want to go ahead and win you some money while you're scarfing down however much food, beers, all the above. Lineup is Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Michael Thomas for that triple stack as they go up against the Atlanta Falcons. At the other running back spot, we got Devin Singletary. Then at the other couple wide receiver spots, we got Anthony Miller and John Brown. Jaden Graham, because no Austin Hooper is playing. If he does not go, though, we have to flex around a little bit and get Dawson Knox in there in his spot. And then the flex spot, we got Danny Amendola going up against that Chicago Bears defense, which is also our starting defensive unit. So if you want to go ahead and ride with the Fantasy Focus crew on Thanksgiving, it's not a mistake.
Or if you want to play against us, we all have our own lineups in the Fantasy Focus listeners DraftKings challenge.
Woo.
$20. We got now down to 14 spots. So the live crew must be jumping in because our spots are filling up as we cast, gents. And speaking of listeners, we are officially in the playoffs in the Fantasy Focus Super Contest League. I guess we'll call it the Super Contest League because it's 28 teams. 2 14-man separate leagues, 6 teams in each. The 2 champs meet each other in week 16. So I'm going to run down the final standings. Bucky received a bye in one of the leagues. The Buggy Bin Boys finished out at 10-2 with 1,479 points scored over 12 weeks. Bucky, nice work. And the second bye in that league is Mr. Eric Williams, longtime listener and supporter of the show, finishing at 9-3 with 1,300 plus scored. Tater, you finished in third place in that particular side of the league with a 7-5 record and 1,471 points scored. I finished in fourth at 1,300 points scored. Fifth place, Mr. Vander Walker at 7-5, and in sixth place, Officer Dick 69, also known as Ricky Sen Nudos, longtime listener, first-time player, actually second-time player in the league. So he finished it out with the 6th seed. And so congrats to everyone on that side. And in the other side, Griff Sidious finishing with 9-3 record and 1,598 points. The league's best scoring team, longtime listener and supporter. So shout out to BG for finishing in first.
Wagon,
on that side.
Absolute wagon of a team.
It's crushed. And let's see, our boy Mike B, Intramusculars, finishing with the other bye. Tater, I know that's your boy. He's finished with 8-4 and also got a bye. So nice work there, Mike. Mr. Colin Park finished at 8-4 in the 3rd seed with 1,200 plus points. Ja, longtime league player, finished at 7-5 in the 4 seed. I finished at 7-5 in the 5 seed. So I made it in both sides of the league. And Mr. Adam Engel, also longtime supporter, squeaked in there in the 6th seed with a 6-6 record. So it's going to be crazy. I'm playing Ja in the first round of the league, and Engel is playing Mr. Park. I am playing Vander Walker in the other, and Officer Dick is playing Tater.
It in that other league where Engel edged me out. Shout out Engel. That was a tough one to swallow. He edged me out by a mere 22 points, and I was the team that was the highest points against by well over 100.
Well, that's 1.9 per game you should have scored. You would have been fine then.
Tough one to swallow, pal.
I know it was. You know, when you go in, you got to buy. I don't want to get cocky. My team is injury riddled. We'll see what happens. You know, hopefully Austin Hooper comes back. That'd be great, please. But I have a week to recoup. Congratulations to my adversary, Griff Sidious. That is an absolute stalwart of a team. You go up against them, they eviscerate you. It's like you're facing the Terminator to a certain extent. I experienced it in the other league. It's not ideal, but I think we're going to have a good competition here, boys. Levy, I hope to host you in the semifinal next week.
It is. I am on your side of the bracket. I did
you sure are
that. So I'm looking to beat you for the second time. in 3 weeks, sir. And I also have Griffsidious on the other side. So I got a tough road to defend my title, boys.
Kingslayer.
Oh,
Bring it on.
All right. So if I'm not mistaken, I know that we have some folks that are still joining us in live, but for some of you folks that are joining in live, normally you join in for our live show on Sunday mornings, or whether it be the fantasy debate with Sam and Tate that is going to be taking place tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Instead of Wednesday, we got Tequila Tuesdays here on the fantasy debate.
Nice.
But if you're joining us for the very first time on our normal podcast and you've never experienced what's bothering Bucky, sit back and enjoy. What's bothering you, Buck?
I mean, just to be honest, I work at home, and normally when I'm in public, I do so at the most lenient of hours, basically meaning I'm not going to go to a populated place, right? If I'm going to go to the grocery store, it's going to be at 7 a.m. I'm going to get back, start the workday at 8. If I got to do something midday, I'll knock it out. Waiting is not my thing. The holidays just bring on an inordinate amount of waiting for everything. It's probably a little different in Cadillac, Michigan, Derek. But here in town, it is just a groundswell of activity and people. And it started for me. I went through a story on our live show on Sunday about going to the movies on a Friday evening. And that was just a nightmare. A nightmare. There's too many people. We got to stop breeding. Like, what is going on with all these people everywhere, man? We don't got roads for this. It's just too much. And then I go to the grocery store today thinking, oh, this 2 p.m. exit in between my 1:30 and 2:30 meetings. I live 2 minutes from the Publix. I'm going to cruise down there, in, out, no big deal. It's an absolute, it was like a war zone in there, boys. What's with the war zone? This is Thanksgiving. We're giving thanks. We're not just going in there starting wars with our fellow people. We're human. Act human. People were insane in there today. They had carts blocking off portions of certain areas of I can't deal with this. I can't avoid this now through Christmas. It's just going to be a nightmare.
Madness.
I don't like it, man. I'll be honest. If it were up to me, I'm going to try to, I will never vouch for the robots. So I will never go and order online my groceries for delivery. Levy, I'm not going to do it.
I do that.
I should be able to go and have a passive time, and it's peaceful. It's a good environment in there. I get to look at fruit and vegetables for a long time. That's one of the things I really enjoy about going to the grocery store. I admire certain fruits and certain vegetables. And when you don't,
why? Because they're stacked by produce clerk boys like yours truly once upon a time.
You're darn right, Tate. That's why I got to throw you the alley-oop sometimes.
The avocado stack, boom, dude. We would cascade those 3 deep. Especially, I got to tell you, I mean, you're mentioning how busy like Publix was. Being a former employee of Publix, which was absolutely, hey, great company, not talking trash about them, where shopping is a pleasure. Love Publix, miss Publix. I can't wait to go give a double meat Italian whole sub a big mouth hug later when I come home in a couple weeks. But Buck, that place is a madhouse.
It's a mess.
On Thanksgiving week, that is by far the busiest week. Everybody would stress the out, and I hated working there, but they had the most pleasant music while there was amidst chaos. It was horrible. Bring me a higher.
Yes, it was.
I wanted to go in the back and freeze to death in the freezer.
It was a combination of Higher Love, Michael McDonald, and Phil Collins the whole time. And I'm sitting there like, this is pure chaos. This is like some satirical play on a movie scene from the 1980s where it's just pure chaos. And then there's Phil Collins with the drum solo in the background, like bringing you in.
But Bucky, I got a hot take for you, man. This is actually from my wife. I don't know why you're hating on the grocery delivery, because it really increases efficiency and cost. Because while you're exploring the fruits and vegetables aisle, you may find something you've never seen before. And then you might not like that item. Then you're spending additional money and additional time.
I'm an explorer, Levy. I explore. Part of what I do is exploration based. Call me the Christopher Columbus of the produce aisle.
Nah, dude, you got it all wrong, man. If you order online, you know exactly what you're getting. There's no farting around. It's less time. Someone has all the frustration for you. Coming to a grocery store near you someday in Cadillac Mission, Derek, is Cadillac Mission.
Dude, they actually have, though, they have a Meijer up here where they actually do have a delivery service. They don't have Uber, but they have a delivery service from a grocery store. But yeah,
here's a tip on how to get a cab. Order groceries wherever the hell you end up, just real drunk, and get them to take you back home. Christopher Columbus of produce out.
There is a place called G&D up here that does deliver alcohol up here in Cadillac, Michigan, but they don't have Ubers, and that's all the way open until midnight. I mean, do they deliver alcohol when you're ordering your groceries, Libby?
Of course. You just have to scan your ID.
Of course. Yeah, but try that with Kelly. Shout out, girlfriend. Yeah, that's not happening. She wants to go in store, in person, similar to Buck. She wants to explore and shop as long as humanly possible.
There you have it. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Look, everybody that joined us on the live show or during this episode, thank you so much. B, yeah, don't stack Dak. I agree. Even though Dak Prescott's been great for fantasy purposes, with outside of this, disaster that was the game at Foxborough. Then we got Victor, soft shell or hard shell tacos, Levy?
Soft.
Oh, you wimp. It's hard shell tacos all day long. Buck, soft shell tacos or hard shell tacos?
Hards.
Yeah, thank you. 2-on-1, Levy. Harden up there, pal. Toughen up. B, Winston is going to be the first quarterback to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. That's probably true. I think he's on pace for like 30 and 28.
And 15 fumbles.
It's going to be the immaculate 30 for 30 on ESPN.
Yes.
Parts unknown from Jameis Winston. And then Victor Tate, that was a legendary Rock impersonation.
Yes, it was.
It was solid. It was my best. And I had the stage in front of everybody, and I rose to the occasion after a couple cocktails. What can I say? So, that being said, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, this DFS special for Thanksgiving. We want to go ahead and say from the Fantasy Focus crew, enjoy your Thanksgiving with your fans, your friends, loved ones, and win some money via the Fantasy Focus crew. Also, if you're joining us for the very first time or coming across our podcast, go ahead and subscribe, drop us a review. We really appreciate any and all the support. And thank you so much for our Fantasy Focus family. You guys, love you guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, the character Bucky aside, I really thank every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Like, thank you for tuning in. You make it a joy for us. I can't wait to see y'all on Sunday.
See y'all later, says the Tater. What am I doing? I forgot my own sign-off line.
Yeah, I was kind of freaking